All right, let's get into it. Apple just dropped its brand new M5 chip, and they're making some really bold claims. The big buzzword this time around? Artificial intelligence. So the question is this just the next small step up, or are we looking at something that fundamentally changes the game for the Mac? Let's find out. And you don't have to look far to see the hype. Headlines like this one from Tom's Hardware are popping up everywhere. I mean, the word smashes really tells you something, right? The M5 is being set up as an absolute monster ready to take on not just its usual competitors, but some serious high-end desktop chips too. This is the battle we're going to dig into. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll cover what the M5 chip actually is. Then we'll jump into those juicy benchmark numbers. After that, we'll peek under the hood to see what makes it tick, see how that power actually feels in a new MacBook Pro, and we'll wrap up with the biggest question of all: should you actually spend your money on an upgrade? Okay, first things first, what is this M5 chip? Well, it just made its big debut in the new 14-inch MacBook Pro and the latest iPad Pro. And Apple is really pushing one big idea with this launch, and that idea is AI, artificial intelligence. And this is super important to get. This isn't just about making your apps load a fraction of a second faster. No, Apple is making a huge strategic pivot here. The M5 is built to handle really complex AI stuff right there on your machine without having to send data to some server in the cloud. That's a pretty fundamental change in how these things work. All right, enough of the high-level strategy talk. Let's get to the good stuff, the numbers. How does the M5 actually perform when you put it to the test? Because this is where it gets really, really interesting. So, if you're coming from last year's M4, you're looking at some nice, solid gains on the CPU side. But, and this is a big but, look at the graphics and memory. We're talking a 30 to 45% boost in graphics and ray tracing. For anyone who doesn't know, ray tracing is what makes lighting in games and 3D scenes look incredibly real. Add to that almost 28% more memory bandwidth. That's a huge jump. It really shows you where Apple poured its resources. Now this is where you see the M5's personality really shine through, especially when you put it up against beefy desktop PC chips. Look at that single-core score. That number affects how snappy everything feels in your day-to-day use. The M5 is right up there, even beating some of the best from Intel and AMD. But then you look at multi-core, and those big desktop chips with all their extra cores and power just pull away. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? In those single-threaded tasks, the M5 absolutely destroys a top-of-the-line Ryzen 9. It's not even close. But when you fire up all the cores at once, it gets left in the dust, only hitting about 81% of the performance. It just goes to show, the M5 is all about incredible efficiency and burst speed. But it has its limits, at least for now, against raw plug-in-the-wall desktop power. So we've seen the numbers, but what's actually happening inside the chip to make all this happen? Let's go a little deeper and look at the architecture, because this is way more than just cranking up the speed. We're talking about some serious upgrades here. It's built on a next-generation 3-nanometer process, which is huge for power efficiency. But the really exciting parts are things like the new neural accelerator that's baked into every single GPU core, a much faster ray tracing engine, and that massive boost to memory bandwidth. Think of the bandwidth like a highway for data. The M5 just went from a 4-lane road to a 6-lane superhighway, letting it move massive files around without causing a traffic jam. These are big foundational changes. And all of that engineering leads to this one kind of crazy number from Apple. They're claiming over 4 times the peak GPU compute performance for AI compared to the M4. 4! That is an unbelievable jump for a single generation, and it's all because of that new architecture we just talked about. And here's another one. This is an upgrade you'll actually feel every single day. Because they moved to a newer standard called PCIe 4.0, the SSD performance is now up to 2 times faster. So things like transferring huge video files or even just loading big applications will feel noticeably quicker. And just so we're all on the same page here, when we keep talking about this neural accelerator, what is it? Well, think of it like a dedicated mini brain inside the graphics processor that's purpose-built for one thing: AI tasks. Instead of the main GPU having to do all that work, these little specialized units handle it way more efficiently. This is pretty much the M5's secret weapon for that massive 4x AI performance boost. Okay, so we've talked about nanometers and accelerators and all this techie stuff, but what does it all actually mean for the laptop that you're holding in your hands? Let's see how the M5 actually performs out in the wild, inside the new MacBook Pro. This is where it gets real. You're transcoding a 4K video, the M5 gets it done a full minute and a half faster than the M4. You use AI-powered apps like Topaz, you're looking at a speed up of nearly 2 times. For 3D artists, rendering in Blender is 1.7 times faster. That's that new ray tracing engine doing its thing. And hey, even for gamers, we're seeing a huge leap, making a lot more games playable with much better settings. And the crazy part is, with all this extra horsepower, the battery life is still amazing. The new MacBook Pro is clocking in at over 18 hours of runtime. That combination of incredible performance and ridiculous efficiency, it's still Apple's magic trick. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. For some reason, and this one is a real head-scratcher, the new MacBook Pro ships with Wi-Fi 6E. Now, the newer, faster Wi-Fi 7 is already in other Apple devices, like the new iPhone and iPad Pro. So why it's missing from a brand new Pro laptop? It's a very strange choice. Which brings us to the big one, the question that really matters. With all this new tech, all this performance, and that one weird connectivity thing, is it actually time for you to upgrade? So let's try to answer that. Who is this new M5 machine really built for? And the answer, like always, really depends on two things: what Mac you have now and what you actually do with it. So let's make this simple. If you're still rocking an M1 or M2 Mac, yeah, the performance jump here is going to feel massive. You will absolutely notice a huge difference. Same goes if your job involves heavy AI or 3D rendering. But if you're already on an M4 Mac, the jump is much, much smaller. It's probably not worth it. And look, if all you do is browse the web and use Microsoft Office, your current machine is still totally fine. And one last thing, for all you true power users out there, the video editors, the programmers, the people who need every last drop of multi-core performance, you should probably wait. The M5 Pro and M5 Max chips are coming, likely in early 2026, and those are the chips that will really go head-to-head with those monster desktop PCs. And that kind of leaves us with this final thought. The M5 isn't just another yearly update. It feels more like a declaration of where Apple is heading. By building AI hardware into the very heart of the chip, Apple is making a huge bet that the future of computing is going to be intelligent, it's going to be on your device, and it's going to be fast. The only question is, are they right? Thanks for tuning in.